Apologies if I sound weird. I recently got a new microphone and sound interface system, and I haven't quite figured it out yet. I hope the difference isn't too jarring. What is the most common monster that you will find in almost every single TTRPG? Is it goblins? Orcs? Some type of slime? Get them all out of here because the correct answer is the undead. No matter what game you're playing, you've probably come across the undead somewhere. D&D has your classic zombies and skeletons, Skyrim had Draugr, 40k has pox zombies. Need I say anything about Dead Space? Hello everyone, I am Delver of Dungeons, and today we are doing the internet's favorite thing, outside of cat videos and weird fanfiction, tier lists. Here's our criteria. Monsters will earn a spot on the list based on design, lore, and stats. All monsters must be from 5th edition, variants be considered only if they are different enough from their base versions. D tier is for those monsters with bad designs, little to no lore, and stats that are just not imposing. C tier is for those monsters with a little going for them, but just aren't impressive enough in most of their categories. B is for monsters that are strong in one criteria, but a bit lackluster in the others. A is for monsters that impress across the board, but don't have that extra punch, that extra spice to make a truly delicious villain. S tier is of course for monsters that are amazing across the board and can make for brilliant campaign villains. And what better place to start with than the zombies? Zombies come in many forms. Pretty much anything with a physical body can be turned into a zombie through magic. However, zombies are always puppets. They don't think for themselves, they lack grand ambition, and usually you're just chaff for the party to cut down or sneak past. Fighting them can be a slog because of their undead fortitude ability, but this goes from threatening to just kind of annoying around the mid-levels. Still, they're probably one of the most iconic of the undead, and zombie art always goes hard. They'll go in C tier.
The photo! Rattle 'em, boys!
Very similar to zombies, skeletons are reanimated corpses that lack flesh. They're a bit more intelligent than zombies, so they can use weapons, which is cool, and they have some variants, but they're pretty much just bones. And they suffer from the same thing that zombies and a lot of undead on this list suffer, a lack of personality. They're gonna go in C tier, just below zombies. What if a Mind Flayer was also a lich? When a Mind Flayer does magic and becomes a lich, it doesn't take as well as it should. These guys are super interesting and can be fairly threatening. The undead squid is pretty cool and pretty interesting, but it's not as impactful as the classic lich or the classic Mind Flayer. B tier. Alip, an ethereal undead that is the restless spirit of those who were insane and driven to do things I can't say on YouTube. They are ghosts that drain your sanity meter super fast, and their design looks like a metal album cover. Also something a lot of the undead have in common. However, what they lack to be truly S tier is that they're not that powerful, and they really just want to kill stuff. So I think they'll go in B tier. The Atrop. I did a video on these guys and woof. They are unfinished, stillborn gods that spread death and undeath to everything around them.
And Meatwad needs to learn some morals and values.
Look at him and tell me there's a god!
He made me in his own image.
These guys are so strong and so intelligent that they had to be locked away in the Astral Sea. They're also all completely mad. And their art? Ugh. These guys get A tier, only because it's difficult to build a campaign around them where you can actually fight one. The ghost that screams to kill you. The Banshee is an evil spirit of a once horrible person, and now their soul reflects the evil of their personality. They're ghosts, so they're ethereal, which is always fun, and they have a powerful one-shot ability, but again, they just sort of want to kill stuff. They don't really have much of a drive beyond that. They'll go in B tier. The Bodak, the unfinished dead, all that remains of a humanoid marked by Orcus who died at the hands of another undead on this list. They are horrifying to look at, and also have a one-shot ability, but once again, they lack a defined personality that makes for a great BBEG. They'll go in B tier. What if a wise, immortal snake with a lady face was a skeleton made by their worst enemies? That's the Bone Naga. Arguably the least interesting of the Naga, and design-wise, it's just a big snake skeleton, which is cool, but there are a lot cooler designs on this list. Overall, it's nothing special, and honestly, a lot of disappointing waste of potential here. They're going to go in D tier. The Bone Claw. Messing up the ritual of Liftum has some pretty horrible consequences. You could become a Bone Claw. Think a skeleton with big fingies of doom and lots of bad thoughts. They look cool, and their reach and claw ability is wicked. Each claw stretching out up to 20 feet to attack multiple targets is horrifying to visualize. Again, what keeps them from the higher tiers is their lack of interesting motivation and personality. These guys just want to murder. They go in B tier. The Crawling Claw. What if the hand from the Addams family was real and a zombie, and it hated me, but I made it do all my dishes? Crawling Claws are the reanimated hands of murderers to be used as manual labor from the wizards who summoned them. No personality, no ambition, not very good art, mid creepy factor, D tier. The Death Knight. A skeletal warrior in black armor, a knight fallen to darkness and imbued with terrible, unholy power. They are ferocious and intelligent, keeping their former personalities and ambitions, if a little bit twisted. A Death Knight can also rise again after being defeated, with a perfect memory of what happened to it, making for a good reoccurring villain. Even if Death Knights aren't really much of a threat to a higher level party, they still have great storytelling potential, an amazing stat block, and a metal AF design. They are our first S-tier undead, the Death Tyrant. When a beholder dreams of conquering death, they can make themselves undead by mistake. Hilarious. Death Tyrants have a cool design with spectral eyes floating around their skull, and they keep their original personalities, but I'm a little torn on this one, because beholders are so cool, and undead beholders should be even cooler, but there's not much lore-wise that makes them that distinct from each other. They're both crazy, they're both paranoid, they both want to kill everything around them that they view as a threat, so for that, I'm just gonna put them in low A tier. The Deathlock. When a warlock fails to fulfill a pact with their patron, they may be forced into servitude as an undead spellcaster. Deathlocks have unique origins, but honestly, they feel kinda like the poor man's lich. They have no real unique abilities, and their spells are okay. The Deathlock Mastermind has a ranged spell attack, and the Deathlock White has life drain, but that's about it. Even the art is kind of meh to me, though the white does look pretty cool. I'll put the Deathlocks in C tier. The DemiLitch. When a lich fails to sustain itself with souls, its body and mind wither till only a skull remains. And a DemiLitch is not just a nerf lich. Energy Drain, Cloud Dust, Vile Curse are all great abilities, and a lich that's decayed to this state is rich in story, even if a true lich is just a bit better at being a BBEG. They'll go in A tier. DracoLitch. Dragons are awesome. Liches are awesome. A dragon that is a lich, twice as awesome. Well, sort of. Lore-wise, they are tyrannical and overly complex schemers with twisted minds that never stop. Their stats don't really give them anything different from their living counterparts besides undead nature and resistance to necrotic damage. Still, the idea and look of an undead dragon is badass. Not a perfect score, but definitely A tier. Flame Skull. Another floating skull with magic powers, but this one is on fire. Flame skulls are cool. A skull on fire is cool. Unlike a DemiLitch, however, the Flame Skull is but an echo of its former self, only getting random flashbacks to its first kiss or that cringy thing it did in high school that one time. Otherwise, they serve only the will of their master. I'll put them in B tier. The Ghoul. Undead beasts that roam the night to consume the flesh of the dead and the living. Their bodies never rot but are twisted and predatory with long, sharp claws and big hands and an ape-like gait. The Ghast is a stronger variant of a ghoul with an aura that poisons enemies within 5 feet of it by being extra stinky. They are infamous for their paralyzing claw attack, and paralysis is a killer in D&D. Despite being intelligent and able to speak, ghouls and ghasts are more at home as mid-tier mobs. A terrible threat for the party to be aware of, because nobody wants to be paralyzed, but they're still nowhere near as dangerous or interesting as the true villains of the story. I'm gonna put them in B tier. Ghosts. The most iconic of the ethereal undead, the ghost is a soul of a dead humanoid that does not or cannot pass on to the next life. They are not always harmful and can even be helpful, often possessing a member of the party to communicate or terrify. Horrifying visage and possession are both really fun abilities. Ghosts have some interesting spooky designs, that ethereal blue and misty look is always cool, and their storytelling potential, fantastic. A ghost can be a great villain for a low-level party when done well, but they really aren't that dangerous once you start getting into the mid to higher levels. I'll put them in A tier. That'll do it for this video. I have more undead hordes to sort through, so check like and subscribe for part 2 and leave a comment of your favorite undead monster down below. Big thank you to my Patreon supporters. You can become a patron too, see all my videos early and completely ad-free, and get access to homemade monsters that I create every month. They come with stats, lore, and treasure. Thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers!